You've heard the dream, right? Ditching the 9 to 5, being your own boss, making a killing from anywhere in the world with just a laptop. It's this powerful fantasy of ultimate freedom. But what's the reality behind all that hype? Well, that's what we're going to dig into. I mean, this quote from Investopedia just nails the sales pitch, doesn't it? It's the message you see everywhere: online courses, those flashy social media influencers. They paint this picture of a totally level playing field where anyone with enough hustle can make it big. It's an incredibly powerful story, and it's what pulls so many people in.
Okay, but let's cut through the noise for a second. Once you get past all the inspirational quotes and the promises, what does the hard data actually say? What are the true odds of making it as a day trader?
So, first, let's just really unpack this day trading dream, because it's all about the promise of freedom. And man, is it a powerful one. With today's technology, the markets have never felt more within reach. I mean, this image just captures that feeling perfectly, right? A world of opportunity literally at your fingertips. And the idea being sold is so simple. Just put in the hours, learn the craft, and that financial independence you've been dreaming of can be yours. All right, so let's pivot from the dream to the cold, hard data. We're going to look at a pretty landmark study on how traders actually perform. And the numbers, well, let's just say they're a bit of a reality check. Now, this research was incredibly solid. We're not talking about some small online poll. This was a massive academic study that tracked every single new person who started day trading one of the most popular futures contracts in the world over a 3-year period. It's about as comprehensive as it gets. So, what did they find? They focused on the most dedicated traders. The ones who really stuck with it for over 300 days. And out of that group, 97% of them lost money. I want you to let that sink in. These are the people who didn't give up, and almost every single one of them ended up losing. Okay, but what about the few who did make money? Surely they made a killing, right? Well, not exactly. The study found that only 0.4%, that's a tiny, tiny handful of people, earned more than the salary of a bank teller. For all their effort, the vast majority of the so-called winners were making less than minimum wage. Now this chart, this is where things get really wild. It just completely flips the whole idea of practice makes perfect on its head. You would think the longer you trade, the better you get. But the data shows the exact opposite. Your odds of having a profitable day actually go down over time. It acts less like a skill you're mastering and more like a game of roulette, where the house edge, things like commissions and spreads, is just built to slowly grind you down. So if it's not a lack of trying, why do so many people fail? What's going on here? Well, the data suggests the answer isn't in the markets, it's in our own heads. And this brings us into the fascinating world of behavioral finance. One of the biggest mental hurdles we face is something called loss aversion. Researchers have actually found that the pain we feel from a loss is psychologically about twice as strong as the pleasure we get from an equal gain. And this crazy imbalance in our brains leads to some really irrational decisions with our money. So how does this actually play out when you're trading? Well, because a loss feels so awful, you might hang on to a losing stock way too long, just praying it'll come back to break even. This is how a small, totally manageable loss spirals into a catastrophic one, all because we're trying to avoid that psychological sting of admitting we were wrong. And here's another huge mental trap: hindsight bias. You have a feeling. Your stop loss gets hit, the price dips one more tick, and then it rips back in the direction you wanted. And you think, I knew it. The market was just hunting for my stop. This makes traders believe the market is somehow out to get them personally, and it causes them to ditch smart risk management for just hope and a gut feeling, which is a total recipe for disaster. So all of this really points to the true difference between the 97% who fail and that tiny fraction who succeed. It's not about finding some secret indicator or a magic strategy. It's a complete and total psychological shift. So let's break down what that shift actually looks like. This slide lays it out perfectly. The retail mindset is always looking for certainty in a world that is fundamentally uncertain. It's totally focused on today's profit or loss. It's terrified of losses and feels like it always needs to be doing something, always be in a trade. The professional mindset, on the other hand, embraces uncertainty. It focuses on executing a solid process over and over, knowing the results will take care of themselves. It plans for losses. They're just a cost of doing business, and understands that sometimes the best trade is no trade at all. So how do the pros actually put this mindset into practice? Well, it all starts by changing the goal. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about something much more basic: survival.
To stay in the game long enough to win, they rely on a safety net. And that safety net is the stop loss. But you have to think of it as more than just an order type. It's a whole strategy. It's a promise you make to yourself about the maximum you're willing to lose before you're in the heat of the moment. Its main job is to take your emotional, panicked, in-the-moment self out of the decision-making process. Let's just walk through why this is so critical. First, a stop loss defines your risk before you even click the buy button. Second, it automates your exit, so you're not agonizing over the decision when you're under pressure. Third, and this is huge, it pulls all that emotion, the fear, the hope, out of the equation. And most importantly, it protects your capital, which is the whole key to making sure you can show up and trade again tomorrow. It's the professional mindset in action. And that really gets to the heart of it. The goal isn't to hit a home run on any single trade. Like this quote says, the real victory is just being able to be here tomorrow, ready to execute your plan with a clear head. So the question isn't really, can you make a living day trading? It's, are you willing to build the mindset that's required to survive?